All right, so we're going to go over the 5 components of physical fitness. So this should be a pretty short one. You just need to be able to recognize or understand each of the 5 components. So we're going to start with cardiorespiratory endurance. So if you break up this word, cardio has to do with the heart, respiratory with the lungs, and then endurance, I think we all know what that means, just like usually it's over a period of time, so long periods of moderate to vigorous activity. And then you've got some examples right here: walking, running, swimming, and biking. If you want to improve in any of these components, you have to keep in mind, like, you've got to do that thing specifically. So if you want to get better with your endurance, you need to do these things. Don't just lift weights, although lifting weights can help. But the same is true, like, if you want to gain muscle, you don't go and run a ton, you go and lift weights, right? So it would make sense that how to improve is engage in nonstop activity for at least 20 minutes, 2 to 3 times a week. Personally, I think that's a little low, but that's like if you're, I mean, it's probably pretty good numbers if you're just barely starting out, you know? If you're not really doing anything, then you might as well start with at least 20 minutes, at least 2 to 3 times a week. So that's cardiorespiratory endurance. And then we have muscular endurance. Sorry, muscular strength is next. The amount of force your muscles can exert. So just think about, like, well, the examples kind of do a good job at giving more, I guess, information on this one. So lifting, pushing, and jumping. I like to think of, for muscular strength, like 1 rep max, so like 1 repetition bench press or squat or whatever. That's kind of to determine your level of strength. In our fitness testing, we use push-ups to measure muscular strength. And then, of course, how to improve, you're going to lift weights. Don't try and use the excuse of, like, I can't afford to go to the gym or buy weights or whatever. Just use your body. Like, you can do so many different things, like, with just your body weight alone. So just keep that in mind. That should never be an excuse that you can't afford to go to the gym. Muscular endurance is basically doing tasks over a period of time without tiring. So, like, I like to think of it, it's like strength and cardiorespiratory endurance combined, because, like, there's strength type of moves, like in basketball, there's a box out, but then throughout the entire game, at the same level, the same intensity, the same effort and strength, that is where the cardio part would come in, the endurance part. My bad. Endurance is the better word. And then, so this is just an example. The boxer's punch, if you think about it, you want to have the same strength, right? The same kind of punch throughout the whole match. Endurance comes in, like, from being able to deliver the same strength from the first round to the last round. And of course, strength would be like how hard, but then endurance would be that same level of hardness of punch throughout the entire match. All right, so that's endurance. Flexibility is ability to move your body parts through their full range of motion. Some great examples: dance, ballet, cheerleading, gymnastics, yoga. And then for flexibility, to improve, of course, if you stretch, that's going to help to improve your flexibility. I'm sure there's other things that we can discuss here, but honestly, if you'd be amazed at how much just stretching can help with your body. Because stretching doesn't just help with the flexibility, but it can help with, like, circulation and posture, coordination, and then also with your stress. So it's a good idea to make sure that you are stretching. And then you have body composition. So this is the ratio of fat to lean tissue in your body. So I don't know if you guys have taken Lifetime Fitness, but in Lifetime Fitness, you use this to test your body fat, which actually gives you a pretty good indicator of where you are as far as your percentage of body fat. These just break down, like, where you would fall as far as category of being categorized as an athlete or just average or obese. So you can either find one of those handheld devices, or the others are kind of a little more difficult to come by because they cost money to go into a lab. And so a lot of like doctors and different people will use this BMI chart, which is your height to your weight, and it's a ratio of your height and weight. But here's the thing, while it does give you a pretty good indicator of where you are, it doesn't take into account muscle. So if you are, let's say you're like 5'9", and let's say you're like 200 pounds of muscle at 5'9", you're a male, you're going to be up here at like obese or overweight, when really it's just muscle. So while I do think that this is a pretty good indicator, because not everyone is just some bodybuilder, muscular person, you just do have to be really careful and conscious that when you do that, just understand, like, especially if you're one that does have a lot of muscle, that it might not be very accurate. I do want to go back up to this real quick though. Actually, this one. So how to improve your body composition. What this means is if you're trying to improve that, that means you're trying to probably most likely decrease your percentage of body fat. So that means that you would need to focus on your diet. That's actually one of the biggest things. And then also the other components. So add some weightlifting, go for a bike ride or swim or run or whatever. Those other things can help with the reducing of your percentage of body fat. This is the handheld one. So I've done this. This is called the Bod Pod. This is called hydrostatic weighing. It's underwater weighing. I went and did the Bod Pod because I wanted to compare the results it gave me compared to this one. And honestly, it's pretty similar. So that's why I say, like, this is going to give you a pretty good reading of where you fall as far as your percentage of body fat. Some people have wondered, like, how does it work? And you see like these metal things right here. So it's called bioimpedance, and it just sends a small current of electricity through that specific part of the body. This is kind of interesting. Fat acts like rubber, the rubber insulation on a wire, while the muscle and bone and water conduct electricity. So the larger the drop in current, the greater the body fat percentage. Kind of interesting. A lot of people will say it's not super accurate because it's only a specific part of the body. So if you store a lot of fat in your legs, then it might not be super accurate. There are other things where it's like a weight or a scale that you stand on, and that kind of measures the lower part, and then one of these kinds of things that you grab on. And so that might give you a more accurate reading. But like I said, I've done this Bod Pod, and it's considered really accurate, and it gave me pretty similar results. So that handheld one is going to give you a pretty good idea of where you fall as far as your percentage of body fat. So, okay, well, that is the 5 components of physical fitness. Let me know if you have any questions.